Greetings, everyone. How you doing? How was lunch? Don't be falling asleep on me now, goddammit. No food comas are allowed. Okay, so greetings. So I'm here to talk about this. So everything the tester in your life wants you to know about testing, but is too afraid to tell you. Okay, so I'm hoping that there are some testers in here to give me some, affirming whoops. All right, and I hope there are some devs in here who are interested to know what the bloody hell I'm about to talk about. So, let's get into it. So, clicky malfunction. Might have to go manual. So, I was digging through some images looking for another conference talk, and I found this. Highly relevant for this talk. I found this I came across this first in 2010, and it's just an amusing but it's kind of truthy about how people in particular roles in a delivery team see everybody else. And so the thing that I want to talk about is these things here. How do the devs and the testers get along? But particularly, what is going on in the mind of the tester in your life or the tester in your delivery team? So I'll talk a little bit first about two situations that I found myself in so that I can, fingers crossed, unpack it during the rest of the talk. So, first situation was when I worked at a Formula One team a few years ago. It wasn't quite as awesome as you thought it would be before you started, but it was still pretty cool. So in this particular situation, one of the devs was trying to fix this bug where we had some simulation software, and the race engineer was saying, look, whenever I put in the thing that I want to simulate, I put all the parameters and I hit go, it takes, I think it was like 20 or 30 seconds to get a result back. It's like, this is unacceptable. It needs to be faster than that. So the dev picked up this bug, attempted to fix it, couldn't reproduce it. He was like, I think this race engineer is insane. Can you try and reproduce this and we can figure out if this is a problem? So I tried to reproduce it, couldn't reproduce it. And so the dev was like, well, I'm done. I'm closing this thing. It works fine. There's no problem. But I don't know why, but my spidey sense was tingling, and that was not satisfactory for me. So the thing about race engineers at Formula One teams is usually they're not at the factory. They're not at HQ. They're flying off somewhere around the world at some race somewhere or other. But there was just one race engineer who, for some reason, was still back at HQ. So I tracked him down, and I brought him over to the dev basement. It was like a cave, literal cave. And he came over, and I sat him down and said, look, what is going, look, here I'm putting in the parameters, and this is coming back in like 3 seconds. We're good, right? And he just started, you know when you say something stupid to somebody, and they know a lot more than you, and they're like, you sweet summer child, you. And so what he said, look, you are in this wonderfully air-conditioned, ventilated office on a bloody desktop supercomputer. It's amazing. I, on the other hand, when I'm trying to use this bloody software, I'm at I've got a toy laptop. I'm at the side of the racetrack. It's 10,000 degrees, so the damn thing is overheating. I've got a race driver yelling at me in one ear. I've got his race engineer yelling at me in the other ear. I've got the race director yelling at everybody. And I'm trying to do 4 or 5 things on this bloody laptop. And that's why it's slow. I was like, And so there are a lot of different things going on there, and I'll try and loop back to those later on in the talk. And then the other situation I want to talk about is this. So I started my software testing career as a video game tester. And I worked at a company called Empire Interactive. And this game is a game that we made, and it was called Bad Boys 2, Miami Takedown. I can see lots of knowing, no, I can't see any note because the game was trash. No one has played this game before. Now, we were very excited because we were a small publisher and we got this license, like, yay, this is going to be absolutely amazing. And back in, this is going back nearly, over 20, jeez, man, I'm old as hell. This is going back 20 years, over 20 years. And I was a really, really avid gamer then. And so I played a lot of third-person shooting games. This was a third-person shooting game. All of my teammates were avid gamers. They also played a lot of third-person shooting games. And the controls on this thing were garbage. It was as if they said, what control system and how do the best third-person shooting games on the market map their buttons to the controls? And we're definitely not going to do that. Like, we should not do that. That's a bad thing. Let's do something else. Let's get creative, because everyone's going to buy this game. And so when we fed that back to the powers that be, we said, look, this is going to be problematic. Like, we're already going to have a bit of an issue selling this bloody game, and we've made the controls difficult and different compared to 90% of the other games out there that are almost certainly going to be better than this game. And we got overruled. And again, tons of things going on there that I kind of want to loop back to, if I can remember, during the rest of this talk. Okay, so before I get to the meat of the things that testers want to tell you, I have to spend some time setting some context. So the first thing I want to talk about is the career arc of a tester. Now, this is just my opinion. If you disagree, that's fine, it's allowed. No SLAs would have been broken if that is the case. But this is my take on what a typical software testing career looks like. So first, you are just focused on the application in front of you, and you are looking for bugs. You are interacting with this product all day, every day. You're trying to learn about this product, you're trying to understand how it works, trying to look for bugs. Then you start to say, there's got to be some tools around here that I can use to make some of this easier. So I'm going to go and find those tools, and I'm going to use them, and I'll become even more effective at what I'm doing. Then you might say to yourself, these tools are not quite giving me what I need. So maybe I need to go and make my own tools. Maybe I can modify this tool a little bit to extract even more effectiveness out of this thing. And then you start to think to yourself, do you know what? This is a pain in the bum. I would rather not have to find all of these bugs. It'd be nice if I could just stop them. So I'm going to try and prevent these bugs from happening in the first place. And then, last but not least, you realize that you can't be everywhere at once. And so you decide, I need to change something about this system so it stops spitting out bugs into production and I can relax. I don't have to try and be everywhere all at once. So, what triggers this is this line. So usually it's not like it's an explicit thing. It's not like, oh, I'm going to try and, move up this experience ladder. It's more just like, my life would be way easier if, and then whatever comes next is probably in one of those buckets. So it might be something like, if I could create this test data really, really fast and more easily, this would be amazing. Like, that would make my life so much easier. Or you might say, if I could just test in production where all the good data is any bloody way, that would make my life a hell of a lot easier. Or if I didn't have to do everything through the goddamn front end, that would be a pain in the ass. If I could just skip that part out and go beneath the GUI, that would be amazing. Or you might say something like, deliberate bug, obviously. If these requirements were way, way clearer, then we wouldn't have to worry about half of this stuff anyway, because we'd all be on the same page and everything would be wonderful. Now, what is going on is you start at one end and you end up at the other end. So at least this was true for me. I started out trying to find all of the bugs. Definitely trying to find all of the bugs. But then as I started saying these things to myself, and then I started to say them out loud, and then I started to say them to my teammates, and I just started bursting into meetings and inviting myself into things and trying convince people to change how the way we were working, I started to drift more over to this end. The problem with that is that a lot of our teammates and our organizations and the places where we work, even though we are going from one end of that spectrum to the other, they still think we're over at this end. And so what they're expecting is us to be looking for bugs. They're not expecting us to be trying to stop these bugs from happening. And they're definitely not expecting us to start making suggestions about how we should change how we work. They're just like, look, man, just go and look for some bugs, goddammit. Why are you telling me about these user stories that are trash? And that is where we run into this authority gap. So something you might say to your product manager is, why are these requirements kind of a bit on the sketchy side, a little bit on the vague side? It feels like we maybe haven't thought this through. We didn't really refine this very well together. And how this sounds when you're a tester is like this. It sounds like you're being nosy. It sounds like you're overstepping the boundaries. It sounds like you're questioning people about their job. And people get very outraged and indignant about what you are saying. Now, that's the tester. Same question, asked in the same way, tone of voice, language, everything. But it's not the tester asking, it's the CTO. How do you think that will be received? Will they think, get out of here, CTO, it's none of your goddamn business, what are you doing in here? They will not. It will be perceived way, way differently. And that is because your expectations and the way that you have been positioned in your role are completely different. Same question, asked in the same style, different reception. And that is because we've just ran into something called glue work. Now, this is not the definition of glue work, but it's a very, very cool quote from Anna Bayek that I see Marit Pahayave quote all the time. So I'm going to quote it again because it's cool. And basically what Anna's saying is, a tester's job is often the only job in a software development team where we're expected not only to do our own testing work, but we also have to fix the organization so that we can do our work. Imagine that. Imagine having a job where you got to fix the organization first before you can do the thing that you were hired to do. That is a spectacular pain in the ass. So, this is all very doom and gloom, all complaining and testing is a pain in the bum, and you guys don't listen to us. So, I just want to talk about some things that I think are cool about the job, and if the testers in the house also hopefully think are cool. So, one of them is that you get to be a detective, and you're looking for clues about what's going on with this application. What problem are we trying to solve, and for who, and why, and how, and all the rest of it, and how has this thing been implemented, and why do we use this technology and not that technology, and what's going on with this technology, and who's on the team, and what are they good at, and all these kind of cool things. You're trying to understand the system deeply, so not just the technical side of things, but the human side of things, like the wetware, not just the software and the hardware. So, what technologies are we using to implement this thing? What domain are we working in? What are the people's expectations? Something else that I love about this job is the variety. So I tend to see this job in kind of like there's three strands to it. There's people, there's technology, and the business. I gravitated towards the people side. That's my natural proclivity. I like humans. I love technology, love the business, but I'm drawn to the people. Because usually in a team, there's tons of people who are way more technical than me. And the thing that gets forgotten is the people side. So that's where I always end up adding value. But it's all three of these things acting in concert together that help us be effective at our job. Do we have an appreciation for the people involved? That's not just the customers, it's the people who are building the thing, testing the thing, supporting the thing, maintaining the thing. Do we have an appreciation for the technology that's at play and for the business? Like, how are we even making money? And who are we making money from? And how? Like, who are we helping and why are they giving us money? Like understanding all of those things and squishing them all together, win. Love that. And then, dear developers who are in the house, I absolutely love working with all of you people. It's like working with wizards every day. You can do magic. And I'm just some muggle. I'm like, how did you even do that? I'm like, well, magic guy. Which brings us on to developers. Now, hopefully I've got some of this stuff right, okay? So some of the things I think the developers in the house really do love is building things that work. By which I mean, you know when you're struggling to get something working and then it works? Oh my God, that is absolutely wonderful. I've done enough tinkering and coding to know that that is a spectacularly good feeling, and you get to do that every day. It must be sick. Solving puzzles, figuring things out, getting into the deep, deep, deep weeds. The weeds have weeds, and you like to be in those weeds. Really in the detail of figuring things out and getting to the bottom of something and then presenting it back to everybody and saying, I am incredible, I figured this out. Praise me because I earned it, goddammit. You love being in this flow state of deep work. Yes, it's a stereotype, but you know when you get the noise cancellers on? It's like, bam, get the cans on, do not disturb sign, somewhere, somehow. It's like, I'm gonna go deep into the weeds right now. I'll see you in a couple of days. Do not disturb me. Do not ask me no goddamn questions. Do not interrupt me. I don't want to go to no meetings. I'm in the weeds of this thing. I know you guys love that. And the autonomy to figure things out. The last thing that you want is somebody who has not spent a lot of time deep in the guts of some language or some IDE telling you you're doing it wrong, or telling you how to do the thing, when you have spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to figure out how to get good at this thing. And then some, pointy-headed manager comes and says, well, you're doing it wrong. You need to do it like this, and it needs to be done in this amount of time. And you're just like, is that right? Really? Really? Is that what you think? How about no? So I'm hoping that I've got some of those things right. But the interesting thing to note is that actually, there's quite a lot of overlap there. We both kind of like figure things out. We both like getting to the bottom of what is really going on. We both like to be taken seriously and collaborate with people who are also smart and respect what we do and how we do it. So we should be able to not experience these problems because we kind of are coming at it from very, very similar, if not identical, very similar and very compatible places. So, before I get into the actual things that I've heard directed at me and my teammates over the years, I want to go back to this diagram because I think it's a little bit, I think it's a bit interesting. And I want to dive into this image right here because I don't think this is how, or at least for me, I'll speak for myself. This is not how I see the QA team or the test team or the quality engineering team. This is actually how I see the team, the delivery team. A bunch of superheroes. And I was not kidding. I was being literal when I said, I think you're all wizards. I think you people have actual superpowers and can do incredible things that I cannot do. Which means if that's the team, I'm this guy. I'm this guy. Now, why am I this guy? So the two, I like cartoons, and he's been in 2 episodes of cartoons that really exemplify what I'm trying to describe when I say that I'm Batman. I just said I'm Batman in public in front of a bunch of people. Holy crap. Okay, so there was one episode, so this was a cartoon called Justice League. It was on over 20 years ago. Remember, I'm old. And in this particular episode, I think it was called Wild Arms, Batman was basically like, look, I'm feeling a bit inferior here. you're an alien who can fly into space. You're a human, but you have a magical ring that can let you do stuff. You are some Amazonian warrior who's not from Amazon, but you're the daughter of a god, and you have a... He's just feeling completely inferior. So a villain appears on the scene, and he decides that he's going to try and save the day on his own, because he needs to prove to his teammates how wonderful he is. Because he's basically a traumatized billionaire with gadgets. No superpowers. Lots of training and trauma. No powers. And then the second, I don't think this was a Justice League in the TV show. I think it was a movie. And basically, this is my favorite one. So basically, there was a villain. I think it was Brainiac. Don't quote me on that. Nerds in the house, correct me if later on. But Brainiac appears and starts taking out members of the Justice League one by one. And they're like, how is this person, how do they know our weaknesses? What is going on here? This is so weird. We are tougher than this. And Batman's kind of stood in the corner, not saying anything. And the reason that Brainiac is able to take them all out is because Batman is Batman. And Batman has been thinking to himself, hey, it's all well and good, all these people got superpowers and stuff, but what happens if the alien from Krypton decides to be evil? How would we kill him? And what happens if the Flash decides that he's going to turn bad and he's had enough of being a do-gooder? How do we deal with him? And so on and so on and so on. And what Brainiac had done is he'd hacked into Batman's secret files and found all of his how do I kill my friends and teammates files. And started using them against him. Now, why do these things resonate with me? Because on the team, I feel like I'm the guy. Everyone's like, we're going to release this thing. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to get this into the hands of our customers who are going to love it. And I'm there going, man, this is going to be bad. This is going to suck. Yeah, but what happens if this happens? Oh, crap, and then this thing's going to happen. And then what about this? And no one's thinking about this. So I feel like the party pooper. I feel like the person who's always kind of, can we just dial down the enthusiasm a little bit here, please? Because you didn't think about this, you didn't think about that thing, you didn't think about the other thing, and what happens if this happens, and da-da-da-da-da-da. Batman. We are like the Batman on the team, which means we're not always super popular at parties. We don't always get invited to things because we're seen as a negative Nancy. I don't know if that's a phrase you have in Sweden or around Europe, but in the UK, you'd be a negative Nancy, someone who's always on a downer. So that is the context for the things that I'm about to say. Now, here are some of the things that the tester in your life would love to say to you, but is too afraid or is not going to say it or doesn't think it's a good idea. I give you, ladies and gentlemen, this. My God, it is useless. Like, why are you even telling me that? I know it works on your machine, goddammit. That's why you gave it to me. I'm telling you, it doesn't work. Are you shipping your machine with the finished product and service? No. This is not helpful. Please do not tell me that. Do not dismiss what I am saying out of hand. It's irritating. What do you take me for? Okay? Now, what's stopping me from saying that is because, yeah, I know that that is not the way to make friends and influence people. Okay? Why did you, God damn it, why did you tell me this? Are you a clown? See, he's already like, oh, security, can we get the speaker off the stage, please? What I would implore and encourage you to do is to dial into the curiosity. So you can think, yeah, it works on my machine. But really what is going on here is, I've reported a bug. You can't reproduce it. So maybe we should figure out what's different in the place that you're testing it and where I'm testing it. And let's figure that out. And let's get to the bottom of maybe it is working and there's something weird about my system that makes it look like it's not working. So let's get to the bottom of it. Instead of just saying, get out of here, I'm busy. Figure it out on your own, tester. Aren't we teammates, man? So, This is something that your testers in your life would say to you if they weren't afraid. And this is something else. Why are we saying this? Because usually it will be something like, can you test this real quick, please? Can you quickly just test this? Or they might say, why is the testing taking so long? It's not slow, goddammit. Okay? It's not slow. What makes you think that the slowness is caused by the testing? As if there's everything, put it this way, basically what this means is, everything else in this delivery process is perfect. The slow part is you guys. I can already hear the giggles in the crowd because you know that's nonsense. That doesn't make any sense. We don't work in a perfect environment. So instead of saying or thinking or acting in a way that says, why is this thing taking so long? Can you just test this in a couple of minutes and then we can get out the door? It's not super helpful. People have this perception of testing and they'll say, hey, can you test this? So I want to release this thing like yesterday, so could you test it now and let me know how that goes? And it's not the right question, because testing is it's like putting air into a container. It will just fit anything. If you give me 10 minutes to test and ask me, can you test this in 10 minutes? I will say yes. If you give me 10 years to test it, can you test it in 10 years? I will say yes. Because I can. The actual question that we're trying to answer is, if you give me 10 minutes, I think I can do this, and I will not be able to do this. And are you okay with that differential? Are you okay with that? Because if you're not okay with that, we should probably figure out what we're going to do about that. But if you are okay with it, I'll see you in 10 minutes. So, I don't know if this is I don't know if developers in particular will say to people, why is this taking so long? I think that's more leadership-y type stuff. But you can act it out in your behaviors. It can be communicated, not just literally. So, bear that one in mind. Still with me? Yes, sick. Next one. It's related to the last one. What makes you think that the only way this thing got into production is because I made a mistake? Really? Really? That's the only explanation? Really? So what you're telling me is the product manager came up with the requirement, the feature, the thing that we were going to deliver, communicated it to you, you understood it perfectly. You see, I didn't even finish, and you started giggling already. You understood it perfectly. You then built the thing, deployed it to a perfect test environment with all the test data I could possibly imagine, and I blew it. No. We all know that there's 1,000,001 reasons why a bug can get into production. So, yes. Is it possible that I made a mistake? Yes. Batman makes mistakes. I get it. Makes mistakes. Batman is not perfect. But there are so many other things that could have gone wrong to cause that thing to escape into production. And if we haven't even explored any of those things together, it makes me feel like a piece of trash. And if it's a constant why, how, it's you failed, why did you do this thing? Oh. No, hold on. Oh, hold on. There you go. Yeah, if it's a constant, you failed, that is demoralizing in the extreme. So, try not to trigger that by saying, why did you not find that bug? It's frustrating. If you're going to make decisions without me, don't be surprised when I start reporting lots and lots of issues. Some of those issues will be real. Some of them will be fake. All of them are waste. All of them are very easily preventable. So, I am not super technical. I got some pals who I can see in the audience who I think are like the developers in the audience. They just really like testing. So they're super technical. But the thing that's labeled to me is, Vern, you're not so technical, so this conversation is going to be beyond you. So I'm not going to invite you. And I don't even think it's true about me. And for my pals in the audience, it's definitely not true about them. And yet still we get marginalized and excluded. It's like, oh, you're just going to ask a load of dumb questions. It's better for us if you're not there. What? Holy crap. Now, I'm not saying you say that explicitly, but by not including us in the conversation, that is what you are communicating. The conversation that I'm about to have is going to work better without you. Isn't that horrible? That's horrible, man. And also, it compromises my ability to do the bloody job in the first place. Because if you're all over here figuring out what you're going to build and why and how and where, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and I don't know, that's like we're diverging pretty quickly and by great magnitude. So we should probably do something about that. Include this in the conversations. The heuristic I like to use is whenever you, as devs, are having conversations about what you're building and why, I want to be in that conversation. And yes, am I big enough and ugly enough? Ugly, me? Am I big enough and ugly enough to like burst my way into meetings and say, hey, I am Batman and I'm here to help? Yes, but it would be nice if sometimes you guys said, wait a minute, whoa, Vern's not here. We need to get Vern before we have this conversation. Or I will happily accept who is going to talk to Vern after this meeting, because he's going to be pissed. Who is going to get Vern up to speed on this thing? I will accept any one of those things. But please, however you do it, include us in the conversations so we can contribute. Because otherwise you're communicating the success or failure of this project has nothing to do with you. And that's not true. Okay. Whoa, what? Why are you attacking me, man? Okay. I didn't put the goddamn bugs in there. Who put the bugs in there? I'm not saying who it was. I just know it wasn't me. Okay? And if it was so easy to find all these things, you wouldn't need me. So you need me. Stop attacking me. Stop telling me that it's taking too long. You're asking silly questions. You're not automating enough of the things. We're going to get to that one in a minute. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because if it was so bloody easy, you would have found them. Mr. Krypton. You would have found them yourself and you wouldn't need me. So, again, it's the accusatory nature of these things that is the issue. So again, try to get a little bit curious and try and figure out, okay, how did we let this bug escape into production? And as I just mentioned, why don't you just automate it? It's dead easy. Testing's super boring. Why are you even doing it manually anyway? These two are testers, I know it. I can tell. They are giggling their asses off over here if I say anything. Why don't you just automate it? It's super easy. Automation is the way forward. It's the best thing ever. No, it's not. Do you even know what this software testing thing is? Do you know how difficult it is to think and try and figure out of all the infinite ways this thing can fail, which ones I need to go and investigate with the limited time and resources that I have? And people screaming at me all the time, it's taking too long, you got to do this, that, and the other. And automating is not the question. It's about risk. It's like, what risk have we got with this particular delivery? And what's the best way of mitigating the risk? Sometimes it will be humans, sometimes it will be machines. It doesn't really matter. That's the least interesting question that has ever been asked. It's about risk. And there are definitely some situations where you will fail without automation. It's not possible to succeed. So do not misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm just saying that shouldn't be the first question. You shouldn't lead with, why does automate it all? It's just, that's like me. You know, as a dev, when people say to you, it's just, you know, everything that follows there is nonsense and garbage. You know it, that's why you're giggling. Oh, it's just, you know, another database. Oh, all we got to do is move it from one platform to another, dead easy. Do it in 10 minutes. I can vibe code that. I did it the weekend. Do you know what I mean? You'd be insulted. Same. Okay? Cool. So, hopefully you've noticed the pattern, which is instead of dismissing, we should channel our curiosity a little bit more. Instead of blaming and getting accusatory, we should think like a team and figure out, how is my teammate suffering right now? How are we letting them down? And what can we do about that? And instead of excluding, obviously, you include. And include early. And instead of minimizing the skill, dead easy, you can, you know, honor the skills. Superman thinks Batman's awesome. He does, because he is. So you can do that too. Okay. This slide is terrible. But basically, what the slide is saying is all the things that you love, the deep work, figuring things out, all become more likely the more you help the tester on your team. For example, has anyone had to deal with a bug that said, it doesn't work? There's some sad nods throughout the crowd. Instead, it would be better if you said, it doesn't work. And then I tried this thing, and I went over here, and I tried it in this browser, it didn't work. Then I went into Git, and I looked at what the changes was, and so I had to look at the code, and I couldn't figure out what's going on. So you're just given this whole narrowing of where to look. So now you don't have to muck around saying, what, it doesn't work, really? Like, where do I even start with that? Now you've got targeted information, which means you can spend more time doing things that you love, and less the things that you hate. And I think that's the end. If you have any, you're very kind. If you have any questions, are we allowed questions? Are questions a thing? We've got 2 minutes for questions. The boss said yes. Okay. Wait. Has anybody got a question? I don't want to be walking over here. Remember, I just talked about waste. Why am I going to get the microphone? Has anyone got any questions? You're just too dazzled and are just thinking over what I said. Okay. There's it would be at the back. God damn. Okay, I'm coming. Thank you. Okay.
Okay. So what do you think about making devs the testers to deal with their own problems?
Is security in the house? I think someone's about to get beat up and lynched. That's a good question. So I think that the devs are already doing testing, whether or not we know it or they know it or whatever. So they're already doing testing. So I think my first reaction to that question would be to expose it, like make it visible. One of the best things you can do, regardless of your role when it comes to testing, is to make it all visible. And if you go broader and think about, by the way, I'm actually out of breath. God damn. Whew. The best thing you can do is expand it from testing to quality and think about all the different ways that people within the business and the team are contributing to the quality and or the testing. A non-software testing example would be going to eat in a restaurant and you are all bad boy chefs and bad girl chefs. The chef makes the meal, but what can go wrong between getting the meal and it getting to your desk or your table? That's the quality part. So if the waiter kind of like all over your food, that if you get a drink and it's got hair in it, it's like, do you know what I mean? These kind of things. If they say, here's your food, nuts, I hope you enjoy it. That would also be bad. So I would say the devs are already testers. They're already contributing to the quality already. because as they're coding, they're debugging and figure things out. And as I said, they're getting deep into the weeds of it. Make that visible. And then collaborate with the testers and say, well, as the dev, you've already taken care of some of this stuff, so I don't need to. I'm going to go and take care of some other stuff. And collaborate. Does that answer the question? Yes. I think we're out of time. Thank you very much indeed.